in hopes that we would say it first, but truth must be told. Hey, Rabbi, peace, shalom aleichem, hotel, divine love throughout the boundless universe to all. We're back at you with another banger. We got Chief Pontiac in the building, right? And we got a lot of tapes that connect to this tape, like the how the castles turned into prisons, how the slave trade was faked, the organic wars on the land. Shout out Dame Calloway too, man, because I got the book. The story was told in reverse. So shout out Chief Honey Bear, you know what I'm saying, on the land. So we brought Rod on, man. Rod finna get ready to crack heads into its camps. Can you hear me, Rod?
Yeah, I can hear you. I gotta go out and come back in. So what you do, run that video, because this is gonna be the foundation for what we're gonna be talking about.
Got you. I got you.
Do I sound pretty clear?
Yeah, you clear. You loud and clear.
Okay. So it's a couple things that I need you to remember. When they talking about the number 13, right? They're talking about the spell put on the Great Mother by the secret societies.
Okay.
When they talk about the 72 star seal in the dome, they talking about the 72 sigils used to seal the Great Mother womb.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then they going to talk about the layout of Washington, D.C. Those are sigils on the ground for conjure spell.
Okay.
Right? When they talk about patriots, they talking about patriarchy.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so when you listen to it, they going to give you all of this history, and they going to tie all the stuff we've been talking about, the usurping of the Great Mother and the restoring the Great Mother back to her throne. They finna show you all of the places they put the spells on her, but he's going to be telling it as if the number 13 is a cursed number. But the curse was put on the number 13 by the patriarchy to put a circle of blockade around Big Mama's seat. Right? He's dealing with D.C., District of Columbia. Remember, before it was Washington, D.C., right? It was called Rome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right? To tie us back to all of the biblical prophecies. Also pay attention to how they connect George Washington to Zeus. And remember that Zeus is Enlil.
Okay.
You got that? So I can't hear you that good, so I got to go out and come back in so you can run that video, and by the time it's over with, we be ready to boot up.
I got you. I got you. Hey, y'all, if you're new to the channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, man. We about to crack heads and twist caps. We're about to get ready to roll that clip. We got like it's like a green light in the background. That's why how that green light is triggering like that. Hey, man, we about to get ready to roll that clip for you. Roll that beautiful beam footage. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Hey, share and like, man. Send it to everybody. Tell them we live, man. It's about to go down. Let's do it.
Who can tell me what D.C. stands for? District of Columbia. So our country is ruled by the District of Columbia. Well, who's Columbia? Well, we walk over there to the Capitol building, and there's Columbia perched on top. Well, we walked into the Capitol building, and there's the original sculpture that the one on the roof was made from, right there. And we go into this is in the visitor center. We go into the movie theater place there when they give you a little movie on the history of the making of the Capitol building. And it starts off by calling it the Temple of Liberty. And I turned to my wife, temple? Temples are for gods. Right? What God? Well, we just passed her in the hallway. Who is she? Who is Columbia? She is known as the Queen of Heaven. All throughout the scriptures, all throughout ancient history, throughout many cultures, she has many names. Semiramis being one of them. Ishtar, from which we get Easter. Isis, Columbia, Liberty, Diana, Venus. These are just a few of her names. Just like Nimrod, she's the wife of Nimrod, Semiramis. Cush had a daughter. named Semiramis, whom he later married, his own daughter, and produced Nimrod. Okay, so that means that Semiramis is Nimrod's half-sister and mother. And then Nimrod turns around and marries Semiramis. So now his wife is also his half-sister and mother. You could walk into the Capitol Dome in Washington, D.C., look up into the womb of Isis, because that's what the Capitol Dome is, the womb of Isis, with the phallic symbol down the road of Osiris's missing piece, the Washington Monument. All right? This picture right here is called the apotheosis of George Washington. Look up in the Capitol Dome, and that's what you're going to see. Surrounded by 72, which is a high occult number, pentagrams, which are known as binding pentagrams. That's how the ancients believe they can, and the occult believes they can control demons. You got George right here in heaven. The apotheosis means ascending into godhood. That's what apotheosis means. Okay? If this is supposedly heaven, you might think you'd see, maybe the saints, see, Yeshua up there, see the angels, Michael, Gabriel. No, that's not what you see. You see Neptune, you see Vulcan, you see the Greek pantheon hanging up there with deified George in the Capitol building. And not to be outdone, when Abraham Lincoln died, they started putting out postcards and whatnot showing the apotheosis of Abraham Lincoln. I bet you've probably never seen this before. They've tucked it away. It used to be out in the outdoors. They put it inside a museum now. This is George Washington posing as a god. Which god? Zeus. This is a depiction of Zeus from the Temple of Zeus, which is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Also, it's the same pose as the occult symbol for Baphomet. Oh, this is a Christian nation. Yeah, okay. And if you look at the entire layout of Washington, D.C., it's all occult. Look at all the buildings. It's all after Greek mythology, too. But most notably, if you think about our founding of our nation, it's all about 13, isn't it? 13 colonies, 13 stripes, 13 stars, 13 this, 13 that, the Great Seal of the United States, 13 steps on the Great Pyramids, on the Great Seal of our... What the heck is an Egyptian pyramid doing on our currency in the first place? Right? What does that have to do with anything about our nation? Yeah. And by the way, that's not an eagle there either. Manly P. Hall, one of the most prolific writers of Freemasonry, says anytime they depict an eagle with a point on the back of its head, it's really a stylized phoenix. Aha, we fooled you. It's not an eagle. It's a phoenix. In Egyptian mythology, the phoenix was the Benu. The Benu was the dying and resurrecting soul bird of Osiris. Okay? 13 steps on the Great Seal's pyramid, 13 letters in the Latin phrase Annuit Coeptus, 13 letters in E Pluribus Unum, 13 stars above the eagle's head there in the shape of the Star of David, which has nothing to do with David. 13 bars on the shield, 13 leaves on the olive branches, 13 arrows, 13 original colonies, 13 stars, 13 stripes on the original Betsy Ross flag. Have you heard about the Betsy Ross flag? If you go look up on history.org, history.org just comes right out and tell you there's no evidence whatsoever that suggests that Betsy Ross had it, other than the fact that she was a flag maker. She did make flags. There's no evidence whatsoever that she's the originator of this design, even though that's one of the myths that we've all been taught growing up in school. History.org goes on to continue. We do, however, have a good idea about who originated the design. Credit for that achievement may go to Francis Hopkinson, a New Jersey representative to the Continental Congress and signer of the Declaration of Independence. Hopkinson was a talented man with a strong interest in designing symbols. See, symbols conceal for those who don't have eyes to see, and they reveal for those who do have eyes to see, which means all of the iconography contained within a symbol has to harmonize with itself for it to have a coherent message. This guy is all about designing symbols. He's the guy that designed the Great Seal. Oh, okay, Great Seal. Pyramid of Egypt, Phoenix, dying and resurrecting soul bird of Osiris. 13. He's the guy that designed our flag. I was in the Honor Guard, and I was the guy in the full dress blues, and I carried the American flag with tremendous pride. That was like a real honor for me to do that. And I took great care in doing it, trying to do everything right and be as sharp as I could be. I cannot even look at that thing anymore. And I certainly am not pledging allegiance to it. No. Sorry, love my country, but patriotism, at least the way it's currently defined, is idolatry. And if you really get into what that flag actually represents, especially going all the way back to its founding, I want nothing to do with it.
it's a lot for me to say this. That now I just can't do it. We're trying to wake people up because there's going to be a deception that the scriptures say it's going to be so powerful that even the elect can be deceived by.
You get that right?
Man, that tied to everything I've been putting out, like the all the stuff, like everything I've been putting out. It tied right into it.
Mm-hmm.
About how this our nana land, how they stealing them, try to usurp the mother's rights in the mitochondrial birth. Yeah, this is connecting all that stuff together. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that guy is a lecturer and an author.
Uh-huh.
And he got books and everything out on this stuff, talking about it. But what he's tying together, he not knowing that he's identifying the involved secret society's signature spell cast.
Okay.
Each one of them had cast the spell. You have to find the keys, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have to use your imagination and develop your psychic intuition where you can keep analyzing what's being said, who's saying it, where is it coming from, right? If you go back to that guy he said was writing the codes, his name is the code, right? So I don't know how you want to do this, but we could either dissect the video or we can go on to the regular Q&A.
Hey, like however you want to do it, but I got some questions concerning that video, and the questions that I had go along with that video.
Now, remember all the tough stuff I told you at the beginning, right? True.
About the 72 thing, because I was like, okay, do that connect with the 72 demons of Solomon?
Yeah, because only those are the energies that the 72 seals have in them.
Okay.
Only by knowing which seal, what these 72 seals is, they actually DNA codons.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. But when you know the energy frequency, when it's being used in the conjure spell, it'll stick out. Now, notice they only put 5-pointed stars in all of the 72 seals. That's the reverse side of the coin. The other side is the sigil side. So the 5-point star represents Venus.
Go ahead.
Right, the aspect of the Great Mother that is her most seductive and her most loving. Right, when she goes to the Big Mama aspect, the old crone, she's now seasoned, well developed in her mental perception of this reality. Right. And now she's seated on the throne as the old crone, Big Mama. In the beginning stages is the young girl on her fool's journey to become Big Mama.
Okay.
Right. So they reenacting the story on the Blue House, which is signature of the Hiram key, Hiram Abiff, who was struck by 3 ruffians. Hold up. Yep.
Hey.
Hold on 1 second now.
Go ahead, handle your business. Yeah, that's gonna bring me to my next question that I got. That's gonna tie into this whole thing. Hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Hey, Rod, this gonna tie what you just saying. This gonna tie. Now, this is the big question because I wrote this one down, man. I pondered on it all day, and you just said a lot on this already, and there's a lot out about it. But it seemed like to me, based on my research, as I'm still learning and going back and finding other stuff, I'm always finding a woman breastfeeding a child, it's a male child, right? Even when I go back to studying the reptilians, they got the reptilian breastfeeding the male child. And then you go to the Inanna one, the Black Madonna one, Nimrod and his mother. I mean, it's always all the storylines. Jesus and his mother, Cleopatra and her son. It's always the mother-son concept. But it seemed like to me some kind of way they reversed it and made it father-son. They took the mother out and then put the father-son concept and the breastfeeding connection. Could you go in a little bit on that, the mother-son concept? Go ahead.
That's where you get your Masonic lodge, mother and son, mama trained the son. So in these depictions of this imagery, the woman breastfeeding the infant, but the father is always counseling a child. He's not never breastfeeding, right? He's standing either next to him or he's standing, kneeling down to talk to him. In our culture, the Roman culture is a little different. It's freaky. It's male on male freaky, right? So the original was the birth of Earth's great defender, Heru. Heru's status as the prince who's the heir to Osiris's throne, but there's one problem. His uncle Set is in the way. So Set in the way becomes Satan's way. So now he got to figure out, as the infant to the great mother, how do I get my mama her proper position back and take my father's throne as his redeemer? I had to get rid of Uncle Set. So we waged war, the Falcon, against Uncle Set, which is really the armadillo from the south of the United States, but that's a whole nother thing. The war between Horus and Set is a war for the throne of Osiris that Set usurped, right? So who Set usurped means under something, Big Mama Seat. Do you know somebody who sit under Big Mama Seat, Elder?
The Pope.
The Pope.
Yeah. Peter's chair. Like Peter's chair.
Yeah, but St. Peter's chair is at a whole nother church.
Yeah. Go ahead. Break it down, right?
They use that because Peter is Pater and Pater is Father. So the Pope is holding Big Mama chair for his father, Set, that set him as a Jacobin, an underminer, under her throne to put the circle around the throne to block her from getting back to her seat. Right? So they show you the conjure magic part of it with the 72 stars in the uterus of the Great Mother. Right? But here's the part, if you notice at the beginning, she's not dressed like she from Egypt. She's not dressed like she from Rome. She dressed like Queen Califia. Play the first 30 seconds again, Elder. Where y'all can see her and then stop when you get on her picture and see if we can blow it up.
Who can tell me what D.C. stands for? District of Columbia. So our country is ruled by the District of Columbia. Well, who's Columbia? Well, we walk over there to the Capitol building, and there's Columbia perched on top. Well, we walked into the Capitol building, and there's the original sculpture that the one on the roof was made from.
Damn, it won't let me pause it the way I got it.
Oh, it won't let you pause it?
Yeah, like it won't let me pause it right where is it. It just cut it off.
Okay, go ahead. Go. Okay, I just wanted to show that. I'm gonna find the picture while we talking, and then I'm gonna text it to you.
Hey, this is what I want to ask you too about. Okay, so we know about the mother and son going down to like the Mason son, the breastfeeding. The Pope is really going bowing before the mother and son concept in the behind the closed doors. Now this so we going into the closed doors. Now recently the Pope just open these doors. What's your take on that, man? Because everybody got a different perspective on it. But what's your perspective on what the Pope got going on opening these doors? Is it the end of the church, or is he opening up some portals? People asking all these questions. What is your take on the Pope opening up the portals?
The first of all, that wasn't the Pope. I don't know who that dude was. Pope a whole android. It's two popes. The other pope, let me see, you got, was it Francis and Benedict, was it? Anyway, the one who was supposed to be resigned was the one who was left with the keys of power. No pope ever resigned because he had to match the church order. They got a name of the last pope as Francis. Right? Francis is a robot. He been executed years ago for crimes against humanity and adrenochrome harvesting and child molesting. Right? He been gone. But that robot that they slide under the bed, they don't want people touching on him, so they have to hire an actor now. All that is to give us the illusion that it's business as usual when it's not. Because they don't got no more power at the Vatican. The sacerdotal seat has been claimed by the Great Mother. Right? When you seen Empress Redbird go in Philadelphia and sit in that state seat, that was the seat of government for the tribes. The collective of the tribes, with no tribe being better than another tribe. So that all of their grievances can be addressed with equity, with no favoritism. Because ain't no big eyes or no little U's unless you under the patriarchy, where they make some people better than the rest of the people. Big Mama don't play that. Right? So when she sat in that seat, they knew it was over. They knew it was over then, because now they didn't surrender the foundational document that they wrote up for their conquest called a loyal title. They already had to give her that. And then she went and sat in the sacerdotal seat. Right? Now, when she did that, it's game over, but you have to give the people's mentality a chance to catch up to the tribal events that's happening, coinciding with the government's events. Counter conjure. They now is responding to us because the counter conjure has been exposing the tribal oral traditional takeover, with many, many tribes being involved, playing different parts of the redemption, right? And it starts at 2012, what we call the long walk home or the journey home. I think one of Malachi's students named Mentuhotep was his name, who wrote The Journey Home.
I think that's his name, but I don't know for sure.
The Marcus Project, Journey Home.
Though, but I don't know.
He had to get that information out, right? Because at 2012, we needed to have a system in place in order for all of the tribes' leadership to have the opportunity to state their piece, right? And when we go over the grievances of the varying different leaders, we find out why they in the condition they in, based on the war, based on the warfare that the people don't see. Silent weapons, quiet wars, world domination, warlords, violent whores. Blame the poor for trapping dollars on their own block, but the feds behind every single hot dope spot. They rock our communities with political homicides, and these crooked cops is telling us we need to law abide. But then they cover up these socially secret ass bastards, but the public can't see because they all good actors. Lifejackers putting babies in the state pen, getting raped and turned out by some grown ass men. The wrong that they in deserves hell's full fury, a black mass execution without a fucking jury.
Hey, man, my next rock, I got a list of questions. And these some hot joints, man. The next
So let's
question,
go. Let's go.
the next question we have for you, brother, is that we know that they told us that they brought us over here on ships. Shout out Dame Calloway, man. Because we got that, I got that book. Story was told in reverse, how in the covering on things. Hey, but we know that they told us we came on ships. Now, what was the ideology behind twisting us around to tell us that we came on ships? If they really like the real guys that came over here. Go ahead, Rod. Could you go ahead on
That's
that?
the conjure side of the war. That's the George Washington challenge, remember? At the end of 200 years, they supposed to have us so confused to believe that we from somewhere other than here. If we fall for it, they assert this is their domain and part of their territory, and they'll seize it because we surrender it. But if we know we Mississippi clay dirt walking, they screwed. Right? So they told us the story not only in reverse with false information, misinformation that served as a misdirection. Right? Truthful and factual information gave by unreliable sources. Fictitious stories with laden with truthful concepts, ideas, and statements. Right? When you get there and understanding the zig and the zag, then you understand how they flip when they roll. All of it is a David Copperfield grand illusion called the 3D Matrix. And as long as you keep falling for the Agent Smith effect, you're going to be continuously a slave for the Matrix. But you're about to get a rude awakening.
Hey, my next question, we'll take questions from the crowd too, but I'm gonna get these up because these some good questions. My next question is, man, the maps. Man, I'm like the maps. I'm getting. I got this over 1,000 maps of the Earth and where shit located. But it's like somebody telling us, oh, Egypt over there, Egypt over here. Oh no, that's over there. This over here. It's like they twisted us around. They told us in reverse.
Right. That's why they named all of these cities with biblical names. Right. Because we supposed to believe that we the people from the Bible when the people in the Bible is made up people. Right? If you believe that you a made up character from, let's say, Gorillas in the Mist, Jane Goodall out there with gorillas, now all of a sudden she claims she's a gorilla. Now make her a gorilla. Right? They becoming part of the systemic closed minds. Like them horses downtown pull the carriages. Most people don't know this, but if you take a fully visual horse and cover his eyes up, he'll stand in one spot till he drop dead. But you got the horses downtown with blinders on going wherever he's led. How did they do that? By gradually closing the blinders in until the horse vision was so narrow, he no longer relied on it. And then you cover his eyes up. Now he gonna go wherever you lead him because you've been leading him as he was going blind. You his eyes now. Right? That's what they doing to us with the systems. But this is all war. This warfare that most people can't see.
Hey, my next question we have for you, brother. The next question we have for you, brother, is, man, I'm starting to think that they might have transported whole tribes to other whole continents to this RT. They went as far as that to because it's certain tribes. If you look at the diagram and the geographical location of those people, then you saying, damn, and then if you figure out how many people they exterminated their tribe, and then you saying, damn, because they tell us a story about a John Hopkins. You ever heard that story that Elijah Muhammad tell about John Hopkins taking slaves? And then I think Doc come behind him and says that, oh yeah, well, he took a Pacific tribe. He went after the Afar people. So do you think that they could have possibly, with the Smithsonian Institute, Horace Greeley, Walter Plecker, all this different, the paper genocide, do you think they could have went as far as to relocate? I know they did the Trail of Tears and all that. That was relocation. They relocated a lot of us on this point.
Look, a lot of people think they came from Africa. That was from the South, came from New York, Delaware, New Jersey, in ships that they took around the coast around Florida as what they call prison vessels. They was floating prison vessels because they didn't want to release them back into the territory they was from because they was too strong. If you caught one of them, you hold him, you ship him down there. Right? A lot of what they telling us was the slave trade, was the shuffling the prisoners around from the war. Right? They got a whole map called the North American Slave Trade, where it show you the ships moving on the land from one part of the land to another, transporting people. Hold up. Pull up that picture I sent you, and I'm going to get this map and send it to you.
Just now?
Yeah, I sent you a picture.
See, I'm about to, let's see, how can I pull it up? Okay, hold on. Let me see, can I load it up on there? Okay, there's this picture right here. Let's see, can I get it on there, man, if it'll let me do it while we live here. Hey, y'all. Matter of fact, while you doing it, I'm gonna run this other clip, man. It's another clip that we can run. Hold up.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it while I'm trying to get this pulled up. I'm gonna run this other clip that might be instrumental in this thing.
All of these bloody murderers, they brought viruses over across the Atlantic, and they spread viruses to decimate the indigenous people and the original black people, because very, very few black slaves were brought over from Africa to America. The black people, the Washita people, for example, down there in the Louisiana area, they were there since time immemorial. The Moroccan or black African Americans, they are the originals, along with the other indigenous Indian bloodlines, okay? So these people have known all along that
There are numerous Black Madonnas in Europe and elsewhere, generally found in Catholic and Orthodox countries. There are about 400 to 500 Black Madonnas in Europe, depending on how they are classified. There are at least 180 Vierges Noires in France, and hundreds of non-medieval copies as well. Some are in museums, but most are in churches or shrines and are venerated by the faithful. A few are associated with miracles and attract substantial numbers of pilgrims. There are also numerous Black Madonnas in Africa, the Americas, and Asia. The most famous Black Madonna in Europe is probably the Black Madonna of Częstochowa, or Our Lady of Częstochowa. Several pontiffs have recognized the venerated icon, beginning with Pope Clement XI.
The Black Madonna and Child goes back to medieval tradition. According to historians, the painting follows the model of Byzantine iconography. It is an autogetria icon, that is to say, the image of one that points out and guides all along the path. A legend attributes the creation of this painting to Saint Luke, who was a contemporary of Mary, and so could reproduce her true image. In 1382, the icon was brought to the hill of Jasna-Góra, which means Bright Mountain in Polish, and overlooks Częstochowa. At Prince Vladislav of
a 15th century artwork which is all set to take its place in the Cathedral of Christ the Savior. The icon depicts the Oak of Mamre, where the three angels visited Abraham in the book, but not at the cost of destroying Russia. On the other hand, Patriarch Kirill of Moscow, who is a close ally of Putin's, is portraying the war as a metaphysical battle for Russia's survival. Survival against the evil and decadent West seeking to destroy Russia. There is unease at the sway of the church and concern about possible damage to the fragile icon. Concerns have surfaced about the conditions the icon would be kept in attend to it. A Russian art historian who has spoken out against the transfer.
Hey man, it won't let me transfer that joint while we live. It don't, man, I don't know. That picture. It make me want to log in then try to do it, but it won't let me do it. The picture of the map just sent me, and the picture of the that thing.
Can you pull up Google?
I'm saying that's what I was gonna just tell you. Let me try to do it on Google. So what's the name of that picture?
That's a Columbiana statue of Liberty. Columbiana Statue of Liberty. Columbia, I mean Columbia. It's supposed to be Columbiana, but they want to. We get into that in a minute. But it's Columbia Statue of Liberty.
Another thing they did, Rod, that I asked you about is why would they tell us that everybody that was out, why would they promote the white man is our enemy the whole time?
He was a cat's paw. He was Coach Seavers, the fall guy, a stunt man. He was the same as the crash dummies they put in the cars when they do tests.
Damn.
He was the one that they wanted us to take all our aggression out on, and they was going to pretend to be us while they take everything from us. That's what the study of Joseph Sincu's instructions versus Charles Manson instructions. Sincu was supposed to get an army of brothers when they taught him how to use those mind control techniques. And Manson was supposed to get an army of pale faces. And they were supposed to set off a great race war, right, that would distract us and activate what would later become known as Readiness Exercise 84, that was at that time known as the Lord Alfred Plan. Right? So that was going to be the cover story of the government to round up the chiefs they know as chiefs and execute them so that the Great Mother can't never get her seat back. When neither Manson nor...
That's the connection with the mother and the son thing.
Yeah, because the son got to redeem the mother. The son got to redeem the mother as the prince heir to the throne. Man. It won't let you go to Google either.
You think it's about to get up off Big Mama lap? No, I'm going to be able to do it. I'm trying to get that other picture so it won't freeze when we do it. When I do go to it, it's
the other picture is called the domestic slave trade map.
Yeah, I got it. I'm getting it right now. So, hey, how long did it took them to come up with this slave narrative? Like, and we know we know it couldn't have been the white guy that came out with it because it's too clever. It had to be somebody that would be that would be able to try to outsmart us amongst us. It's too clever just for them to come up.
You got to remember. You got to remember the blueprint for it. Right.
Go ahead.
It wasn't no white people in America before the 1600s.
Right.
So who was we fighting before the 1600s? Right. It wasn't until the 1700s that 1776 when they declared independence. right? So where was the white people at? White people was a term in law, and it tell you who they is. We done went over that information already, and that nauseam, right? So when you understand that the illusion was to make you think pale face mean white people, but the white people look like me and you, but they ain't us. But the black people, which was represented by black animal totems, black eagle, was the ones who was lost at sea. You can clearly see that she's from over here.
Go ahead.
Do that look like
you know what? They said that, look, when I go ahead.
You go ahead, Elder.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I say, you know what I found out? I found out that not only was Cleopatra was over here too in Georgia. It's a lot of stuff they like over in New York and Harlem. Harlem has been a matriarch center for thousands of years. That's what they ain't telling us. Like Harlem, like New York, Harlem. It's been a matriarch there. Like, you know, you remember Stephanie Sinclair, like even before her, like going back, like they said that Cleopatra was in New York. Like, and they telling us about Whale over there. I mean, they really twisted us around, man. They really twisted us around. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you have what they call victor's history and revisionist history and alternative history.
Go ahead.
The victor's history is what you call the standard narrative of control by the invader. This is what's going to be taught in your educational system, right? The political arena is to beef up the social interaction using politics as the medium. If it wasn't for racist, it wasn't for artificial racist politicians, people wouldn't even know what racism is. Right. Because people wasn't coming out speaking about skin color until the 1800s.
Right.
All of a sudden, after the war, 1812, skin color becomes relevant enough for them to use that as the standard bearer to separate the tribes.
Right.
Right. Now, which tribes is fighting as those dark-skinned, nappy-haired totem clans that they call runaway slaves that came to help the Seminoles in the Seminole Wars? That's their story because they call the Gullahs Seminoles. Right. So that's how you know if the Spanish is telling the story versus the tribes. When the tribes identify that war, they call it the Gullah Wars. Pull up Queen Califia so they could see how she looked compared to that statue of Columbia. This is the domestic slave map. Look at the years on there at the top.
I got you.
This is how they was shuffling us on the land, telling us we was coming from Africa.
Too.
Mm-hmm. This how they was shuffling us around on our own land. So remember that game you used to play in elementary where you spin somebody around while they blindfold and they got to touch somebody? Yep. And they be staggering, trying to find their way because they dizzy. This is what they was doing to us.
Yep.
Spin us around with a blindfold on. And then, you know, so many tribes had their own language that some of the tribes from the north needed one from the median to translate the tribes' languages from the south. And then they moving us around like this on the land.
Now it makes sense. It makes sense because when you join the military, they do the same thing. When you join the military, they send you to a whole nother, like to the north. It's called disorientation. That's that's what Yaku said that they was gonna do, though.
Yeah, that's part of the technology to make you believe that you came from somewhere else. They take somebody back then from New York, a Shinnecock, and drop him off down here with in what would be called Texas now, They don't speak the same language, but they the same people.
Yeah.
And that's how they was telling them they from Africa when they was really from here.
Yep. Damn.
Now, ask yourself a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they keep record of this?
Man, yeah, that's a good question now. Why would the suckers who are out to do us keep record? Because it's got to be on record, right? It's got to be part record.
It's part of the record because you're looking at it.
Yeah, it's got to be part of the record. Of the
and it's not the only map and not the only time frame where they're showing you this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now, the reason why they have to keep record, we got to have the right to discover what they did. So that when we talk to the other tribes across the land, they can understand the enemy was fighting and the strategies they used to us against each other. Mm-hmm. Once we understand how it works, it won't work on us no more. That's how you break the spell.
And then come to find out, the Africans, like a lot of the Africans, some of them came over here by themselves. They didn't come over as slaves. They sailed over here as noblemen. Not the dirty moves. Well, I don't know. I can't consider really Mansa Musa.
Well, you got to remember, before Christopher Columbus ever, I've been saying this since the beginning. We was already marrying in the royal families of the Americas with the African royal families.
Right.
But the purpose is blood diversification.
Go ahead.
The purpose of blood diversification is to reduce the risk of birth defects that comes with generation after generation of inbreeding.
Go ahead.
Right? So you have to get outside blood periodically to rejuvenate the blood with fresh blood.
Go ahead.
Right? So now you're talking about how royalty, that we knew how to purify our blood.
Go ahead.
By using the royalty of other parts of the world, because they all got a different genetic sequence. And when you add new genetic sequences to the blood pool, it reduces the birth defect because it's an ongoing forward progress.
Go ahead.
Right? Instead of tying the DNA up into knots by inbreeding repetitively with no fresh blood from the outside. That's the difference between how we lived as royalty versus how the Europeans raised under the Moors function as royalty. We didn't function the same. On the West Coast, we did the same with Asia. And that's why a lot of the tribes had hollow hair. That trait came from intermarrying with them, and that's called the Lee contract.
That's fun.
Because that was the name of the emperor that was first the general that made the agreement in order for the tribes of the earth to always be able to restore the balance back to the matriarchy. But we don't know this because we don't know our tribal heritage. But the elders in a lot of the families know that when they hear me talking, they know what I'm talking about. And now they can start to talk to the rest of their family about it. But before, it was a death sentence to discuss it.
Right.
So now I got to go find the domestic slave trade map, because I keep telling people they was moving us around on the land, but now they can see the receipt. I didn't make the receipt.
Go ahead.
You can go to Google and pull it up, and this ain't the only one.
Right? It's a fire receipt right here, bro. I ain't gonna lie. There's some stuff right here that like I had an idea about it, but now it gave me more of a visual on okay, the Atlantic slave trade really happened just on the coastline of Turtle Island. It ain't go some of it happened too. But a lot of the Africans, they saying they came from Ivory Coast, were settled over here by themselves. They wasn't even slaves, like Mansa Musa and Abu Bakr. They came over in 1310.
Okay, now look at the direction that all of the arrows is pointing. They all pointing from the north to the south.
Yeah.
By land and by water.
Now, this another question I got while we got this map up. Would it be safe to say this was done to the animals as well? That the animals got switched from land to land? Like they took elephants from over here, and like I know some
All
of the
that
stuff.
happened. All that happened a couple, probably about a couple thousand years ago, when because the elephant originated over here in the Americas. The camel, all of those. That's how you know that the civilizations of the world spread from the Americas, not the other way around in the out of Africa story.
Right. Right.
If you take the out of Africa story and point all of the arrows back to Africa, you'd be more accurate. It's told in reverse for a reason, because it's called disorientation. The map ain't even, the map is upside down.
Yeah. That's what I was
Florida is the elephant trunk.
Go ahead.
But you can't tell because it's upside down.
Go ahead. That makes sense. That makes sense. They switched this shit around, the animals, and then I believe too, some of the food, like they telling us, oh, we didn't eat this, we didn't eat that, and y'all eat this, but it's a lot of things. I believe they switched around to where they telling us it's bad for us, but it ain't that it's bad for us. It's the way we cooking it. They reverse how we cook it. We didn't do grease. The French, they bought the grease over. They bought grease and canned goods. We didn't have no damn canned goods over here. They brought all that stuff and the stuff that we eat now. That's why we got to. None of these diseases were over here. Go ahead. Could you go in on that? Because old boy just said something about that. Was these diseases, they brought all this over here. Go ahead.
Almost every disease that we know of is patented. And I'm going to leave that at that.
Damn. Yeah, you can drop the mic, walk off stage after that. I'm telling you, man. Because I believe that food, like they saying that corn is acidic. But what did we use it for? Because it was native over here. Why would we create that over here? And then we never got no disease by eating it over here for thousands of years. Go ahead.
Corn is a genetically modified wheat stalk.
Go ahead.
The reason why corn is an important staple is the same corn carbon is the carbon that make up the human.
Go ahead.
It's corn carbon specifically, no other kind of carbon. That means that the root base to the human constructions, first you had to have corn.
Go ahead.
We know corn is made, what it's made from, because you can do genetic testing on it to show where it come from.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. So how is it that the human is made out of the same carbon as the corn? Who made the corn?
Go ahead.
Right. Then you find out that the corn is originally native to the southwest region of the Americas.
That's right. And we ate it for thousands of years, no disease. Go ahead.
Then you realize why we had mass corn festivals. Corn is a symbol of prosperity to us.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They want to move you far away from your culture as possible. We got all type of corn.
Go ahead.
Right. We got corn that resemble gemstones, all kind of stuff that we did with the corn. Purple corn, black corn, red corn, green corn, blue corn. We got it all, but you just only know about the yellow corn.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, shout out Maria, man.
One of the names that they use for the colorful corn is they call it Indian corn.
Go ahead.
Right. And now when you look around the world, you find people holding what look like a pine cone, which is actually a corn cob.
Go ahead.
Right. Because they telling you with the caduceus, that's a DNA or genetic factor. So you got the twin serpents around the staff, and then you got them holding the corn. The two symbols is telling you that it's the genetic of the human.
Man, bro, you just made me think about something else. In that papyrus, with Norma and the Twy-mans walking, we got the apron on and everything. Them Twy-man had corn. If corn is indigenous over here, how the hell the Twy-man get it? They telling us that Columbus is the one that took it over there. Now we can get into that.
Well, let's deal with that, because you also got pharaohs that has cocaine in their blood. They got tobacco. That means they smoked. And then they have strains of marijuana that was only found in the Americas.
Go ahead.
So that means that whatever the pharaohs was doing, they had a connection or a link to the Americas.
They said the finest weed in the world is in California. So you go out to California, to Khalifa land.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but the thing
You can see if you could pull up a picture of Queen Califia so we can show them that Olympia is just the East Coast version of a Califia queen.
Let me see. Can I find one that's close to that one? This might be a good one right here.
They don't have the exact same headdress, but when you zoom in, you'll see they similar. The facial cranial structure in the poses.
Yeah.
Now notice that she have her stick in her left hand, but Columbia have it in her right hand.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you go to the Blue House in California, the Crips wear their hat to the left. But if you go to the Blue House in the Midwest, the folks who are from the Blue House wear their hat to the right. Right? That's because they telling you about the windows. This is mirror flipping.
Hey, look. Yeah, go ahead.
If they was looking at each other, one was looking at the other in the mirror. Look, if one was looking at the other in the mirror, the thing in her left hand would be the same thing it would be in the right hand in the mirror. If the two was standing face to face looking in the mirror. Right? So it's the two sisters, the two Califia on the West Coast and the Columbia out of the D.C. district. They looking at each other to determine if we gonna return Big Mama back to her seat. And when they finally see each other energetically, Big Mama will have to have found her seat because now the mirror is clear across the land. Right? Now, who set the mirrors up? You remember the last video Tupac did?
Why is it frozen like that? Say that again, Roy. Cut you out on my side.
I said, you remember the last video Tupac did?
I was doing it. Which way you talking about?
How do you want it? You remember he took the baseball bat? Remember he took the baseball bat and broke the mirror? In the tribal code, that means all of the pieces of the mirror has been set up.
Go ahead.
Now you got to be able to see through it where all of the chiefs sat across the land and the matriarchs.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right? And not until Califia can see Columbia will we be successful. Now they face to face, red house, blue house.
Go ahead.
Right? So we actively code flipping and everybody facing. I'm just telling them what the code is. So that means that the two serpents, the two dragons around the caduceus, the staff, the straight bump, right? That's that Shakti energy. The Shakti energy of the red and the blue give you a red serpent, blue serpent, or red dragon, blue dragon, whispering in the ear of the straight bump in order for his wings to pop out his head. It's all genetic coding. But it's given to us in a symbols in signs format that only a certain level of self-training will you be able to see it.
Hey, Roy, I noticed that when they took our culture and reversed us around, like I know, like I was talking with this guy, this Puerto Rican guy, and he would say, "Oh yeah, they having Christmas," and I was like, "Oh, what y'all cooking for Christmas?" And he like, "Oh, we sticking with our cultural food, the food that we eat from where we from." And like so, but over here in America, American food is not considered as the stuff that we originally ate before they came. It's all mixture of Chinese is considered all these different foods, right? So I'm thinking that and that's my question, that the foods that were over here before that we ate, that we from this ground, those foods that are organic and grown to that ground never made us sick. What we ain't heard none of these diseases that they talking about until they brought
We'll go back to the disease thing again. Every disease that you know of has a patent number. That means that they made that stuff in the laboratory. Chemical warfare. Go back to smallpox and blankets. Now that's revolutionizing and updated to the 20th century. Right? And they ain't gonna keep putting smallpox in blankets. They got to figure out another way to poison us. We baby kids, we don't die, we multiply. Now, if you go back to the HIV studies, they say that the problem with the disease, just like with the Tuskegee studies, is when certain blood types is infected with it, they automatically develop a spontaneous cure for it. That means that they can only poison us for so long before our DNA finds a solution to the virus, to the bacteria, to the disease-causing parasite. More ailments is parasite toxicity than anything else.
Like even the vegans, we wasn't vegans over here. Like I tried the vegan.
Well, no, not necessarily. We had all spectrums of diets based on your tribe, because tribes, some tribes had, a lot of tribes had similar diets, but no tribes had the same diet because they was all different families. When you go to the Southwest and you get Southwest, what they call Mexican cuisine, that was more how the Southwest Indians ate, with a lot of fresh vegetables, because they got a longer growing period and continuous harvest period than the people in the Northeast.
Okay. Yeah.
So they rely more on what you call wild game. The people in the North, they a lot, because in the wintertime, ain't no vegetation growing and you still got to eat.
Yes.
And you ain't finna eat sticks and twigs. So don't tell me that.
That's right. And then another thing, like I know we mostly barbecue, or what we smoked or roast in the smokehouse. We never did have no grease and fried and all this. It was all roast.
The only problem with the grease is we using what they call uncured pig fat.
Damn, go ahead.
We using lard, or now we using a toxic vegetable oil that they have to infuse with certain toxins to order to make. And corn oils, right? You're supposed to use cold pressed oils like olive oil, peanut oil. It's easy to make peanut oil. All you got to do is boil some peanuts. The oil gonna float on top.
Yeah, peanut oil good. It's good. Like, but that olive oil is hard to fry in, man. You try to fry in there, you got to put like a thin layer of that shit to fry you some hot water cornbread in it.
Yeah,
you got to put a thin layer. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's how you supposed to use the oil when you frying that type of stuff. You only deep fry. You need something like peanut oil, because it's polyunsaturated fat.
That's right.
It's the saturated fat that's the problem, not the unsaturated fat.
Yeah, but I like grilling. I like grill and barbecue. Really, just barbecuing, smoking it on the grill.
That's an ancient technique that we've been using for a long time, and they tried to act like they brought it from somewhere else. But it would behoove me is that we've been having them barbecue style festivals, because you had a special designated uncle at each one of the Big Mama house that was the grill master. Right. That's a cultural phenomenon to the America. Ain't no grill masters in Europe. Africa or Asia.
Hey, that's a good point, Rod. Go on, break that down. That's a good point.
The grill master was the uncle that was designated to cook for the mass family gatherings where you was cooking whole cows or bison, you cooking whole elk, right? And if you don't cook it right, the food won't be good.
Yeah, I'm sure ain't no grill master.
You needed a grill master. And then in the islands, they call them pit masters because they used to cook them underground, bury it and wrap it in the palm leaves.
Right. I know how
This
to
is the culture to the land. This is not foreign. This because you don't find it nowhere else across the world.
No, not like you do it over here.
Right. So in the Americas, we got pit masters that cook over. You got some cook over the open flame. Right. Some cook over what's called the closed flame. The pit oven, which is a dome-like oven that they used to make out of mud.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you had the ones who dug the trench and have the different aromatic woods in the trench smoking the meat, where he's only using the heat of the smoke to cure the food so that everybody can eat it straight off the grill.
Right. Yeah, my grandma had a smokehouse. My big daddy had a smokehouse.
Yeah. Now the smokehouse was for the meat that you send home after the winter solstice because it had to be smoked. That's what you're doing from the pumpkin harvest that they call Halloween to the winter solstice. You preparing the meat to send home to we had no grocery stores. So the smoked meat didn't spoil. And so you smoke the meat to send it home with the families in the north, so that when they up there, they can eat in the wintertime, and it reduced our need to have to hunt in the north. And they normally did this to they send a apprentice child from New Orleans to Chicago, and he end up setting the family up there. When he go home to the family farm to get his food for the winter, right? And that's to make sure that the family fed. We didn't have no grocery stores.
That makes sense, bro. Hey, that
grocery
makes sense.
Stores is new.
I heard Chief Warhorse say that that we used to take over here. We used to our refrigerators. We had outdoor refrigerators that were made from the waterfalls. That we used to take our meat and buffalo meat and hang it up behind the waterfall, and that would keep it cool during the hot times where the meat would stay cool. And then and they actually turned these places that where we had that into forts, military forts, because they starved us out. That was part.
There was one right next to Port Nola.
Go ahead.
Port Nola was like because we was sending food from there to the islands, right? Because our big mama used to send the island big mamas care packages when the family would take trips down there. We would go to Jamaica just like people get married. Oh man, what you want to do for your honeymoon? I want to go to Jamaica. We was doing that back then, but we didn't go so disrespectful. We came bearing gifts. And then the people in the island would send us back home with gifts for our big mama. Take big mama this. All of the stuff we don't make up here. She might give her a year's supply of plantain pies. We don't grow plantains up here. But it was a courtesy in the communication across tribes that was cut off by the wars of colonization. That's why we never had wars with each other over here. If we had a problem, run that fade, nigga. From the chief to the brave, run that fade. I'm not finna bring my whole family and get them in this, and you ain't finna bring yours either. That's disrespectful on either one of our half. Now they drag the whole family in it. Hatfields and McCoys in this mofo.
Now, another thing about the reverse theory and how they reversed our culture. Now, we had certain things that were considered not over here as evil, like the serpent. Other animals, like the serpent, they got that labeled as evil. But it's different things that, like even the black cat. It's different things that they got, and they reversed it around to even certain like the cultural things that we did. What was the benefits of them reversing our good stuff that we did to now we won't even mess with it? Like certain things,
Right. So
things like that nature.
that's a psychological tactic to place a barrier of fear where you don't want somebody to go. The barrier of fear is given in the words of deliberate misinterpretation of the meaning of a thing. If you can get the person to think that something that's empowering is evil, they perpetually refuse to empower themselves by the method designed by their own. And the church is the number one source of the fear campaign of the tribal cultures by calling all of the tribal cultures evil. Right? That's because if you go back to your culture, that which the church sees as evil will allow you to live. Right? So they separate you from your culture and give you a false identity. Now you suffering from an identity crisis trying to assimilate an uncomfortable identity. By accepting what they told you is the truth without investigation or examination. No critical thinking applied, blind faith. Once you accept the misidentification, you become misidentified within your own self. The whole goal is to get you to put the spell on yourself so they don't suffer the consequences of the karma.
Right. So people like our doctors, like Dr. Sabi, he got labeled as a witch doctor under the Spanish Inquisition. He a witch. But then they doctor like Dr. Fauci, he can go on and say all this stuff and giggle and laugh.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, he a scientist. He know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? If you speak out against him, you going down. You going down.
Right. Because Dr. Sabi primarily taught by word of mouth. Oral tradition, education passed directly from the mouth of the master to his prime students. The exceptional student is the student that don't sit up under the feet of the master and just watch the students learn and also pick up the information as the wisdom roll from the mouth of the master. Normally the master's a mother.
So how do we reverse? How do we start to reverse all of this? I got my ideas, but what's your perspective on how do we start to reverse this with the children? Because we got to cut this off right now. All the lies that they told us, Christopher Columbus discovered America, we this and that, y'all from, and then look, even if we try to go out of space, you know what, we got tired of, we say, you know what, we tired of y'all, everywhere we go, y'all got to make us black. So we would, as black Nubians, we're going to get the hell out of here and go out of space. You know what they told us? They said, before you go out of space, you got to be black, extraterrestrials now. You can't go out of space without being black. They got to put they black on us. They got a black asses.
I don't know if they told them that or not. But I do know that melanin is an asset when you outside of the atmosphere of the earth.
Go ahead.
Right. And there's also unmelanated beings that come from outside of the earth. Now, everybody can't get through the Van Allen belt. Exit or entry. That's called a Pleiadian light lock. It's a conjure from the Galactic Council to trap those at war in the confines of the war zone. This is what they keep calling the firmament and the dome. But it's just a radiation barrier, and the radiation is so thick, as soon as you hit it, it's an instant reaction. Right? And it's a light conjure using beams and rays of light at angles and octaves. That the Pleiadians is the masters of. Right? And then the Arcturians is giving them an energetic support. So they the ones that got us locked in the matrix to solve the problems of the matrix. So we come in, we like a computer virus repair program into the matrix to repair the damage done in the matrix by a virus. The virus in this case is those who don't belong here. So as the antibodies of Earth, the Earthborn formulate a plan and establish a system in order to reclaim Earth from whatever the threat is. The T cells that organizes the immune responses and tell the white cells what to attack, right? As the foreign agent. Now, the T cells are also called the generals of the immune system. So now we're talking warfare on Earth played out like an antibody response in the body. Comparative analysis, as above, so below, as within, so without. You can see it play out in the stars, on the Earth, or in the body. But you have to know how to read the signs in order to translate it and do the comparative analysis to see two things that you originally thought was totally unrelated was directly connected. Because you didn't know how to flip the mirror and see it. The mirror is where they got us disoriented at. They gave us south and told us it was down, and they gave us north and told us it was up, and it's exactly the opposite. They used the pole shift phenomenon in order to shake us up and confuse us like we spinning on the top, right? Once you start looking at south is down, your orientation is in the opposite direction of its intended purpose, right? They want you to keep looking at the sky so you can't never understand what you're seeing on the ground. So you focus on what's in front of you before you start looking up for answers.
And that makes sense, Rob, because they told when they came, when these black conquistadors came with their Roman Catholic Christianity, they told us we'll get our pie in the sky. And really our pie is reverse in the reverse. Our pie is really down here, because if we could get our pie in the sky, why would the Anunnakis come down from the sky, coming down to get some pie? They came here to get the pie. They came here looking for gold. So so why we got to go in the sky to get our pie when they came here looking for pie?
It's an inversion principle, right? If hell is hot, right, and they got you looking for your pie in the sky, they sending you to the sun, right? Because they don't want you to turn back to mama, because she gonna nurture you and nurse you back to health. No matter how old you is or how sick you be, if she here, she gonna nurse you. This goes back to the symbolism of the Black Madonna and child, the mother holding the child, the son. He's the crown prince. And she's the nurturer who's going to nurture him and teach him everything he need to know how to reclaim the throne by learning how to read what his uncle did and what his daddy did and the difference in the two by comparative analysis.
Hey, now that makes sense, because now this is another thing. This probably be out talking, but people was asking questions about this. Some dude was saying about government look like it's still in business as usual. When we touched on this a little bit about how they using the wag the dog thing at the Tyler Perry studios. Could you talk just a little bit on that? Because I got a whole bunch of questions on that recently, even after we did the show talking about it a little bit. About them doing the reenactment.
If you call somebody in D.C. that goes down around them buildings and ask them if they all fenced in. They've been fenced in since 2020. They're not using them buildings, and construction's been going on at the Capitol building. So they're not having Senate hearings there. And they have sets, Hollywood sets. You can find these images on Google where you can see through the crack in the wall outside, right? When you look through Joe Biden's window, it's not the scenery that you would see from any of the other White House pictures. It's got props behind it. We pay attention to them little subtleties, tell you that they in studios. They even have video where the camera is drawing back from them and you can see the stage information at the top of the set. They deliberately make those mistakes so they can absolve themselves and say they should have knew it was fake. We gave them every opportunity. We changed Joe Biden at least 12 times in their face and they never noticed it. We've used multiple actors, Jim Carrey, James Woods, Liam Neeson. We didn't use a whole bunch of different ones. We even used one that was damn near 7 feet tall and they still didn't notice. None of them look like Joe Biden did in 2016. None of them got that tattoo on their left arm. Come on, man. They play too much.
Yeah, they really starting to lose their footage, man, on people like running these games and this magical illusion on people. People saying, man, people seeing right through this stuff now. It seems like, especially the kids. Hey, this is my next question that I got for you. Now, I saw a guy, man, driving the other day, and then I get up on side of him, and he got his steering wheel on the other side, you know, and them cars that come from over there, they drive on the other side, the right side, right? And we drive on the left over here. And I noticed that even the language that is reversed over here than it is over there. Do you think that the language was the way it is now, going left to right, or left? Which one was first, or was it both? Dealing with the polarities of the hemispheres of the planet or the hemispheres of the brain? Is that got something to do with it? Could you go in on that, the language thing?
Yeah. So you know what the prime meridian is, right? Also known as the international date line.
Go ahead.
Right. That's what's called the division point. Remember, when the hieroglyphics can be read right to left to right, top to bottom, bottom to top. That means they can tell you a story from every different angle. When they reduced the hieroglyphics to letter writing, the letters was charged with a frequency, a number, and a musical note, right? And a color. And then now you see that no matter what language, when you go to one side of the prime meridian, they reading from right to left. And when you go to the other side, they reading left to right. That's generalization because you do have right to left on both sides of the prime meridian, but the primary largest number is separated by that line, which is the confounding of the languages so that the people can't come together and solve the problems of Earth. Earth is the original heaven. When they be describing heaven, they be describing Earth before the wars. That's where they get the whole heavenly description from. And heaven just means a haven, a safe place, right? And then the safe place was always nurtured by the angels, the mothers, the aunties, the big mamas, the nanas, right? The TT. They all work together in harmony, right? And this was the great disruption of the family to break that sisterhood up so they can impose debauchery and wickedness across the planet. And the only way you can do that is by usurping and villainizing the feminine, right? So we come in as the son. All of us is that same little old boy nurtured by mama. We just got different mamas with the same amount of wisdom. And wisdom is justified to her children, right? And the wisdom is absorbed at the feet of the master. And the master is the maker, and the maker is the mother. And the owner, cream of the earth, gods of the universe, right? When you take it back to the feminine aspect as a priority and reorganize and proper structure of the earth, then you have to expose these things to the people that's been misled so they can correct their vision and see the right direction. we all look at the right direction that put mama back on her seat, it collapses the waves into the particles to realize the truth of the matter. We all agree we want Big Mama back on her throne. Anybody that don't agree can't stay.
Don't know where you gonna go, but you gotta get the hell on out of here. We don't. Hey,
that ain't my business. What long? Don't go away, mad Muskie. Just go away.
Yeah. I don't know where you're going, but you know. So now based on what we're seeing, because we're going into 2025, and all the truth is unfolding, man, like rapidly. It's coming. The truth is like the puzzle is being put together piece by piece to what we figured out. Okay, all right, this. Now, once we get all this put back together and figured out, and I think that like because people were saying, man, people looking at a physical. They want something physically done. They want to grab the guy that did us. Like they want somebody to beat up these guys. They want somebody, man, you got to tell me who I need to beat up, man. You doing some talking. I want to beat a guy up. I want to choke a guy out. I need to find a motherfucker to choke out.
They want to vent that aggression. Yeah. I told them it's going to be some people that they going to cut these gangs on, that they going to be happy to get off the land. But right now, you know, my chief of staff, Rising Phoenix, called me right before we came on and was giving me the stellar alignments for the upcoming year. And one of them stood out was a stellar alignment of planetary bodies on the 21st. What made that stand out is the inauguration is on the 20th, right? Which takes us back to December the 5th. The Schumann resonance on the election day, right? Now, it's more math to do to determine what that alignment means, but any time you have that many planets in alignment, it's a mass focus of energy on a topic, subject, or event. And when the mass energy is focused, you can use current events, historical events, comparative analysis to determine the most likely outcome of the energy. So I'm gonna look a little bit deeper into that alignment because I think it means something. I still got to count the days from the 5th to the 21st of January, right? And then I got to look at what the sun, moon, and stars is doing in the interim. What's the major stellar events happen in that time frame? And then the esoteric meaning of the event, it'll give you a good proximity of what to expect to look to see with the alignment. Because it'll be all leading to a story coming to a conclusion. So I'm going to look more into it, but I just wanted to make mention of that because it caught my attention real good.
Man, to me, they can't do nothing else to scare us. They didn't run out of shit to scare us with. They didn't use everything in their handbook to scare the hell out of us. They don't got nothing else. They did everything. Huh?
I was posted on that yesterday on my Facebook page. I was laughing at their ass, and I was like, they was government talking about none of this stuff didn't work. What we gonna do about these aliens now? Build a wall? They always trying to stop somebody. Let me see you build a wall to the sky, motherfucker.
Man, yeah, I'm gonna dig under that shit or climb over it. Them motherfuckers build an airplane and fly over it, man. Our people, you can't stop us. You can't. We don't die. We multiply. That's what Tahuti told them in Genesis, man. We don't die. We multiply. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this, man. Hey, we'll take questions. We got about 30 minutes. If you want to show Brother Rod Hayes some love for the people that's asking, we drop that Cash App in the links. Hey, if you want to, we'll take some questions from the crowd, man. Y'all got any questions for Chief, man? Drop them in the chat. We're taking over the game right now. Big Mama's Babies is back. And when we pull up in the back. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, hey, shout out all the empresses on the land. Shout out all the chiefs. Shout out that boy Chief Honey Bear or Sugar Bear. That boy Dame Calloway. and his wife and family. Shout out Chief Warhorse. Shout out Chief Bald Eagle, man. Shout out Chief Jaguar in the house. Drop your comment, drop your questions in the chat for the chief, man. See what we got. It says, where is the Illuminati right now? Somebody asked, where is the Illuminati right now?
Dead. That false narrative should be dead by now.
Go ahead. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna get them lined up right here so I can. It is.
I'm not getting on nobody's ship.
Yeah, they're going back to Africa, man. They still on that. They're going back to Africa with Umar Johnson. Going back to Africa with Umar.
I don't have no problem with that. I ain't mad at Umar for liking Africa. I love Africans too. I just know them from here.
Me too, man. Me too. We fight for all God's people, all Big Mama's children. So Big Mama's God, nigga. After the air. I'm telling you, man. Big Mama's God. Big Mama got it. I'm trying to get to these some questions coming up. It says, hey, Rod, Madam Vasquez. Yeah, Vasquez, that's that lady Helen that was over the
Madam Blavatsky.
Yeah, Blavatsky, that's how you say her name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Theosophic Society. She left some heavy keys in her writings.
Oh, this shit's still on. Hold on. Go ahead. Let me see.
I'm with the mushrooms. I just tell people that if they ain't never did them before, make sure you're around somebody with experience.
Damn, this shit's still on.
The original Earthborn was the little people. And the ones made in the laboratory was altered. And the remedy was for them to get some blood from the little people by genetic transfer.
Look like how they both been on top of them. Man, here's this. My first time hearing about this.
That's he talking about they got a single red light in the center of the hood.
Oh, okay.
And it looked like a fez. But I just think that's I don't think that's necessarily a direct correlation, though. You can make that connection though, but the state troopers and the police, they gonna all have to go. Only thing gonna be here is sheriffs and marshals. Wherever there's a sacred mound, you're gonna have a ship there. There's gonna be a ship in the sky just above it. Those are gonna be contact sites. That's why they sacred mountains.
Hey, to Cool, the Muskogee and Seminole and Chata that's their land. Hey, what you think right there, Rod? Says, how do you know when you're in tune with your frequency when meditation?
It's a feeling. It's an unmistakable feeling. You just automatically know you're in the right frequency for who you are. But you just automatically feel it, and you'll know.
Black box in Israel. I gotta look that up. The black box in Israel.
All of those boxes are time capsules with stuff in them.
Okay.
I don't have no predictions. I don't see the future. I just read what's transpiring in real time. I can make projections, but I can't make predictions. based on this event happening and this event happening, we should see something along these lines. One thing I know is that the banks are about to collapse because they just fenced off the Federal Reserve in D.C. So that means that we about to have an economic transfer of financial power.
Domino effect, pretty much.
Yeah. And then you got to remember, when we took everything back, the FDIC is losing massive amounts of money trying to cover what they insured to keep the system artificially afloat.
Yeah.
Once the FDIC declare bankruptcy or insolvency so they can stop losing money like they got a hole in their pocket, then it's going to impact the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, right? Which is also going to be affected when the IRS is shut down because the taxing agency is a fraud. It's not part of our system, not part of our government. It's part of a foreign agency financial institution.
And it's voluntarily. They voluntarily, but they don't tell us that. They kind of like scare us up and use a fear tactic to get us to volunteer to do it. And they've been doing it since the civil.
That voids the contract under duress.
Yep, right, exactly, Roy. Could you go in on that a little bit about how they put us under that using threat coercion to get us into these contracts?
Right. So the Crown of England got to collect the taxes because they have to return payment back to the bankers that lent them the money for the settlements. This is how long this has been going on. In order for them to remember the Boston Tea Party, right? They said that the Boston Tea Party was because of excessive taxation on the tea, right? But if you read the story, it's going to tell you that it was some people dressed up like natives. But there wasn't them, right? That means it was somebody that wasn't us, that looked like us, that was really behind the Boston Tea Party.
Right. Like it passed as us. Go ahead.
Right. And now somebody at some point became aware because they wrote about the masquerade as the tribe to attack the Boston Harbor of somebody who wasn't us, who wasn't the tribe.
They couldn't have been white folks. They couldn't have been white folks then. It had to be
right. Now it's clicking for you. Okay, now the rally cry was no taxation without representation. We was barred from representation in the development of the tax code by law. Therefore, we was never represented. Therefore, we supposed to be exempt from taxation anyway. But they have to deceive us because we non-treaty tribes. They have to trick us into contracts to justify them being here. The contracts they trick us in is work contracts called applications for jobs, where it requires your employer ID number called a social security number that tell you that the person that is under this number is socially secured by the Federal Reserve in Securities and Exchange, on the Securities and Exchange international trade market. Anything that they do is to be reserved for my collectors by having them fill out these forms, adhesion contracts. To remember, they want you to put your own self in slavery on their behalf. So once you fill out your job application with your social security number, they alert the Social Security Administration that you are willing to surrender to the IRS because you filled out your W-40 or your W-2s and your W-4 forms and your 1099 OIDs and all this. You still working with their system, right? Even if you do a 1099, they can still make you pay more taxes than you owe by just disagreeing with your assessment. Right? Remember, every time you file for your taxes, you're not requesting a refund on what you paid. You are giving an assessment of what they owe you.
Right. And they really supposed to pay you 10 times or more than what you paid them, because that they make 10 times on what you pay them.
Mm. The goal is for you to self-assess and claim that you owe them a certain amount and that you paid more than you owe. That's your refund. The trick is they ain't got nothing to do with your labor.
That's right. That's law. I heard that's a law.
They don't have nothing to do with your labor. So we being extorted by a banking mafia. They using extortion as a means to compel us to pay street tax.
Okay.
Yeah, we went over that already. Catch it from the beginning, and you'll see that part when we discussed it, because it ain't no big deal, because they ain't got no juice. I already answered that, Elder, when you was doing something.
No, that's a different one. Let's see what we got here. Somebody said all the orbs in the sky controlled by fallen angels.
Look, ain't no such thing as a fallen angel. That's an oxymoron. That's like calling somebody an African American. But angels don't fall. They came down here. They came down here for a specific purpose.
That's right. To get some, you know what I'm saying, Mushu. They came down for Mushu. I'm telling you, man, go read it again. Go read that, man. Go read it. They came down for Mushu. Let us take Mushu from amongst the. Come on, man. They can't fool us no more. We got it down. They came for some Mushu. Man, wouldn't you? After 10,000 years.
What it say in the Bible? They came and took all that they saw.
Yeah.
They ain't asked nobody permission. They just taking it out.
Yeah, they some rapists, man. That's what they was, man.
Remember, I told you it was the great rape campaign on the divine feminine.
I'm trying to tell you.
The goal was to defile the priestesses so that they have no spiritual connection to the Great Mother. So when the Great Mother returned, they can't recognize her energetically. And then based on the narrative that the system gave them, they'll reject her outright because they don't know who they is. It's good. It was some good strategic thinking that they was doing. It was real brilliant. It was strategically brilliant from a military standpoint. The only problem is that when they won, they didn't know how to close the game out.
Right.
So now the guilty ones got to call on the same way as the same person to close it out as the innocent.
Yeah, hey, yeah, that's right, feminine. You want me to make it plain for you? They came took and took Coochie. Did that get it clear for you? I said Mushu to be nice. Hey, but they came down and took Coochie. Man, that's what it was about. Yeah, Coochie will make a man go against God, according to the Bible. They said, man, we're gonna make an oath amongst all of us that we're gonna take an even punishment for this. We're gonna take even punishment for this when we go down and take this Coochie, man.
At least they was accountable to accept responsibility for their wrongdoing. So when we do them how they did us, they won't think we doing them wrong.
Right. There you go. How about that? Let's see what we got.
It is written.
I need to get some more water. There you go, right there, right?
Your mother could be your tribe's leader if she your big mama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means that if your mother is the big mama on the land, when we start going around with the elders having leadership summits, you should attend. You should ask her permission to attend on her behalf so you can be brought to speed on responsibilities and leadership.
Hey, cool karma. I already told you it was the Chata, Muskogee, and some of the Seminole in that area.
Look, it's a map. If you go to Google Elder and type in U.S. native map or tribal map, it maps out all of it. You got more than one of them, so you got a whole lot of maps where that name tribe. Some of the names you already never even heard before.
That's right. That's right.
Right. It's a lot of names that also have been lost to the history and the amnesia combined, took away the original names of a lot of tribes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I got, if she can go to my playlist called Native American Chief School. I already broke. You can find out what tribe you're from, what land, and all that. I got like the 6. It's 1 through 6 called Tracing Your Ancestry or History. That we already did in the Native American Chief playlist. You can check that. It'll give you. It's got all the maps that Rod talking about in those videos. Yeah. It says what's the best way to prepare for the banking crashing?
To practice not panicking. When the new banks come on, when the new banking system come online, everybody who had an account in the old system has to be compensated. So I wasn't even worried about it. And then you get what's called a suffrage penalty added on to it. That's what's going to break the FDIC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Paying back all of those people for being defrauded out of their money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The value of the currency gonna change too.
See, this is the thing. It ain't the banks. It's the Federal Reserve Act that really took and changed and really muscled everything. Because Big Mama had banks on the land before that. Big Mama had banks.
Remember, they forced all our banks to close so that it would only be one system of banking under the Federal Reserve. All modern banks in America is tied to the Federal Reserve in order to be insured through the FDIC.
Those videos are in if you go to the my page, go to the playlist, and then go to Native American Chief School. They should be like the 3rd tape down. It's 1 through 6. You watch 1 through 6 called Tracing Your Ancestral History. And we got the last names, all that. Dr. York was already working on in the newspapers, but we went on, finished it, and did all the rest of the research. Shout out Dame Calloway because we used one of his books too, another book that he got called Tracing Your Ancestral History, in that to do those tapes, right? To do those tapes. So check that out. Somebody had just asked a question right here. I forgot what it was saying. It said, it says, where is it? What is the spiritual significance of women that don't seek kids or can't? It's because they are bad people. Let's think about that, Rod.
It's a lot of women. I think she meant white women.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of women from various cultures that's going bearing to reduce the world's population by limiting the procreation and the transfer of systems. It's natural. The only ones that'll be fertile in a couple of years is going to be the ones that have what they call ancient DNA. Right? Because it's systematically culling of the humans by aging out the ones with the expired genetic codes and bringing in new ones that requires the original 12 daughters of Isis DNA in order to continue beyond this point. So if they was an old expired version of the genetic typing of the new genome that the women are in the process of coding, then they won't be able to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
You need what they call the God gene.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people that's thinking they white really not really white, because that was a game, the black and white game, that they ran on us.
Right, because they wanted us to know we was playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
The chessboard is black and white. That's the Queen's land.
Go ahead.
The checkerboard is black and red. That's the domain of the Flying Kings. The Flying Kings is the navigators of the sky, Enlil's children.
Go ahead.
Right. So the Flying Kings left the checkerboard and landed on the chessboard and tried to conquer the queens. And too many pawns became queens and the whole board was secured. It's always good to buy gold and silver because that's going to be the premier currency in the next system. It's going to be the gold. So it'd be on reserve. However many notes is printed, that's how much gold is on reserve, or silver, depending on which note you're using. The old Federal Reserve fiat currency is going to be null and void.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to try to buy back as much of that old currency as possible when they roll out the new currency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to give like people that got the money buried in the backyard, ain't going to be no taxes on that. So they'll be able to trade it in for dollar value for the new system. And then they might give you a rate adjustment to make sure that you are not in the deficit.
Mm-hmm.
The financial investment at this time, that's Dr. Kia's job. If y'all want to know who's been keeping track of that. She the one been following it.
I don't trust crypto because it's Ash Star Command. Another way to rob us with some fiat imaginary electricity money, man. Give me, man. Give me what you owe me. Just pay me what you owe me and get off Big Mama land. Get off my Big Mama land. Pay me what you owe me. And it's a lot. They can't even pay us in cash. I mean, we got paper. We already got paper. We got enough.
The paper is a representation of something. It's an IOU.
Yeah, representation money. You know what I'm saying? So to pay us what you owe us and get off our land. That part. You know what I'm saying? I can't pray people call it land mass theirs, and we're not supposed to be able to own land on earth.
Now the irony of what this is he's 100% right according to tribal tradition. We don't own the land.
Yeah.
Can't nobody own land.
Yeah.
But what would the land own us? And our responsibility to the land that own us is to take care of the land as the caretakers. The ones that originate from the geography of the caretakers of that geographical part of the land. And when people come telling us that we had to sell land, we know what the hell they was talking about. That was a foreign concept, meaning that it came from a foreign place. Right. But that part, Joe Smith, he absolutely correct. We don't own the land. The land owns us. We emerge from the land.
Go ahead. Organic from the land.
Mm-hmm. Remember I told you, I said they can genetic test you better to the land than they can through the DNA 21andMe BS. That's all made up for entertainment.
Yeah, a dude was talking about that, about the DNA thing. He said I'm gonna see if this thing is legit. So he swabbed his horse. This dude swabbed his horse and sent it into the DNA people. When he got it back, it said that he was Puerto Rican and he got a little bit of a little Asian in him, and he got Nigerian. Yeah, he said his horse. It was the DNA from his horse. His horse was Nigerian, Puerto Rican, and he said, "Man, it's a bunch of bull crap. It is making up stuff. Just slap something together and send it back to you."
And the fine print is say for entertainment purposes only. Anything that's only to entertain you, meaning that they can adjust the script to suit the narrative.
That's crazy.
That they're trying to use as the primary entertaining source.
That's crazy.
It's like a comedian being allowed to write his own jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you send that shit out to? They said that my horse is Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen the dude do with an iguana.
Yeah. Damn.
I seen a couple different animals actually.
Yeah. So people trust in that thing. Oh, you need to go because dude was saying, man, y'all ain't from here. You need to go do a DNA test. It'll tell you go from Africa. I say, oh yeah, he one of them. He one of them.
That's because they don't know. They ain't never read the fine print, and they don't know what for entertainment purposes only mean.
Yeah. Right. Right. And they money really is for entertainment purposes. But like it's because of the humans bag it, and we agree to it as contract as a agreement as a contract. You know, it says, isn't that fraud? What it was what fraud, brother? Hey, and rooted by source. If you want to get the answer to that question, all you gotta do is go to my playlist called the Anunnaki Chronicles, and all the answers to your questions is right in that Anunnaki Chronicle playlist.
Yeah, we covered every topic you could think of, just about.
Man, I mean, come on, man, come on now. I mean, who else is doing it? I mean, who the hell else is doing it? If you ain't got it down by now, it says, what's you guys' perspective on the mothership coming? I just told you, rooted by source, about the Anunnakis. You want to learn about the Anunnakis? We already dropped out a lot of tapes on that in the Anunnaki Chronicle playlist.
Look, I don't have no concerns about them one way or the other. My only concern is getting the imposters off the land,
right?
And changing the system from this patriarchal democratic republic bullshit,
right,
back to the matriarchal order to bring heaven on earth.
Right.
I would rather live in heaven on earth than to try to figure out how to get to heaven when I die.
If you want the short answer on that question, rooted by source, that mothership is like a police station, or and they pretty much go around to try to keep peace amongst the different planets and like different sectors in the galaxy. So they're just here pretty much to call not to call shots, but they're here to oversee the removing of the parasites. A lot of the stuff that's here that's plaguing the planet that don't supposed to be here. So it's like a judgment call. They talk about it in the Quran, Revelations, all these different religions talk about it. We in the time of that judgment where we going into the sun cycle, and a lot of this stuff is being to unfold. The truth is we going into that truth, that phase of truth, that divine plane of truth. That's what Doc referred to it as, the divine plane of truth. So that's why all this information is coming out. The truth is being told just straight off on, I mean, it ain't been no filter on it. It's being told at this point. And so that's part of that ship showing up. And it's been here actually for a couple of years now. It's been here probably since 2000 and close by 2008, 2012 is like actually out there. And so that's just part of it, you know. And like every time that comes in this system, it causes the planet to go through these different things, you know, like hurricanes and that nature. And they talk about that. So, but if you want to get into more in that, you can go watch a tape I put out called the Anunnaki Chronicles Part 12, In-Live Pole Shift. And then get into more of what happens when Numeru come into Earth atmosphere. Also, Dr. Malachi York, my master teacher, talk about it in the Holy Tablets. You can read that for free in the links in the descriptions. All right, what else we got? Y'all want to guys? Hey, we'll take about we might pretty much wrapping it up. We'll take about one more question from the crowd. Somebody says, this is a good one right here. We'll take this as be the last one right here, Rod.
Eventually, he got a grievance to vex about this system that's failed.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to also tell you why that it was made to look like he got murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's his story to tell. He had to tell his own story. Mm-hmm. Just like every one of the chiefs got a story to tell. They're responsible to inform the public of anything that they had to do during the war to get us free, and they got to tell them what they was doing and why they was doing it. You remember Tupac say, in the end, everybody gonna know? This is what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when it's all said and done, everybody gonna know what everything was about. But right now, you know, it's all it's too soon to see. You know, people can't see. Now you about to see, so then he got to tell his story. And any other ones who was made to appear to be dead got to tell their story. They got a story to tell so that you understand how the war was won against the dark side.
Hey man, we at that mark now, y'all. We're gonna be back with another banger though, y'all. Hey, and like I said, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming out, man. We got something dropping every day. Stay tuned. Like I said, if you want to show the brother Rod, don't do it for money, but if you want to show him some love, man, everybody send him $1. We got 1,500, 1,600 people on right now. Everybody send him $1, man. That'll keep them in the game till we come back next time, you know.
And you know you don't never know your real YouTube numbers till you get off the live.
Yeah. It actually was. Actually, it was like I think it was at 4,000 last time I checked. But I'm talking about it just showed me 1,500 right now. But actually, it was at 6,000 people, I think. Oh no. So yeah. Yeah, but y'all want to show them some love? We got the Cash App right down. And make sure it's that it's because it's two different ones, but make sure it's the one just like we got it right there, right? And we're gonna be back with more, y'all. And like I say, the more as we do more digging, me and Rod digging every day. Rod is digging on their ass every day, like digging to find out, to uncover they lives. And we pretty much got them in the corner, man. Ain't no way they can get out of what you done put out, huh?
Yeah, it ain't about digging up their lies at this point. It's about getting the other people to see where the lie was told.
They talk about the lie was buried. They say the lie buried, right? We had to dig it up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, hey, shit, but we ain't got to dig it up no more. It's laid all out on the table right now for you. Hey, just pick your pick. Hey, take your pick, man. Pick your shit, man. You know? Hey, we about to get up out of here, y'all, man. We love you all. And like I say, we're going to win this war. Why? Because we can dance and they can't. Hey, y'all hit that like before you get out of here, man. Why do?